with dyslexia using Python in underdeveloped countries. Donc, en gros, on va vous parler bon, sur vos acclamations.
Bonsoir. I think since I arrived to Togo, I've been speaking a lot of different versions of French language. So please just bear with me this evening. And we are looking at breaking educational barriers for pupils with dyslexia using Python in underdeveloped countries. The outline, we have the introduction, the challenge of dyslexia, why Python? Python tools for dyslexia, some examples, impact and conclusion. I know we've been sitting for a long period of time and I'm not going to pause. I'll go straight to the point. What is dyslexia? I don't know if any one of us has heard about dyslexia before or you've had an encounter with a dyslexia learner. If we have, please raise your hand.
Avez-vous déjà entendu parler de la dyslexie? Si oui, levez la main.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, if we have, for dyslexia learners, if we have a simple word like cafe, C-A-F-E, to them, it doesn't appear C-A-F-E. Sometimes the A might be jumping. Sometimes the F might be upside down. So in underdeveloped countries, inclusive education is still a challenge. When we talk about challenges or barriers in education, what's the first thing that comes to our mind? Infrastructure. Access or textbooks that are not available, and even access to teacher. But for pupils with disability, the challenge is far, far deeper for them. So for this kind of children, they have issue, it's a neurological disorder, and they have issue comprehending words. Reading is a difficulty. And dyslexia affects about 10 to 20% globally and up to 30% in low-income areas. Now, children face poor academic performance and low self-esteem. These are the ones we call slow learners. The next slide. What is the challenge of dyslexia? Like I said earlier, it's a neurological condition that impacts comprehension of words. It leads to poor reading skills because sometimes the letters might be appearing blur. Sometimes it can be jumping. Sometimes they don't even see those letters. Another challenge is that it has higher prevalence in boys. And most times, these pupils with this disability, they are most often excluded from vital IT skills. But why Python? Python is easy to use and is beginner friendly. It is adaptable for visual, auditory, and interactive learning. It is accessible with low infrastructure requirements and little overhead syntax. Now, Python has made it even more helpful. We can learn, we can make the learning for the learners interactive, we can make it visual, and we can make it auditory with Python because of the flexibility and easy to use of Python. For example, a pupil who is unable to read. Now, when we have these words in words that are supposed to be spelled out or text, we can convert them to diagram. These are the tools that we can use. We have Turtle. It's a drawing-based coding that's for visual. So when you have a word, let's say star, that learner can then convert that word to a programming code, and then the star appears, rather than stressing himself or herself to read a text. We also have another programming tool, PYTT-XX3. It converts text to speech. So rather than reading and then battling with letters that are jumping or letters that are blur, such learner will just have to listen, and then it speaks to that child, and then that's auditory. And then we have Pi Game. It's an interactive game-based learning where you can just convert context or abstract things into games, and then they can easily read or play with them and assimilate, rather than struggling with this challenge of reading, this neurological challenge. All this creates a multisensory learning experience. So they are learning with their visuals, with auditory, and also with game. This is an example of the turtle, where the student just writes the code, and then you have the star appear for the learner. What are the impacts of Python in education? It makes coding inclusive. It provides equal opportunities in digital skills. It boosts confidence and self-esteem. Because one of the challenge of dyslexia is that it proves the pupils have low self-esteem. But when we introduce Python or coding to these learners, it boosts their self-confidence and empowers every child, every learner in underdeveloped countries, like my country, your country, and every other underdeveloped country. Now, we can see that the infrastructure is not something very difficult. It can be operated on any communal or shared computer system that is not even expensive. So it is ideal for developing nations with limited resources, but with boundless potentials and inventiveness. Now, to the concluding part, this talk is not just about coding alone, it's about inclusivity. The goal is to show how Python can contribute to the development of future with all children. Python is not just a programming language. It is a tool for inclusion, creativity, and empowerment. We want a world that every child in every small rural village can declare that I am a programmer. On my first screen, underneath my picture, it says Imprecise. This is it, and I'm a co-founder at Imprecise, and we are a group, a team, working on building platforms, softwares for pupils in rural areas, introducing them to Python, introducing them to AI and machine learning. We are working on a software where you can scan your notes, if there are students here, undergraduates, where you can scan your notes given to you by your lecturers, and it can generate questions from them. So Python is for inclusion, creativity, and empowerment. Coding is for everyone, regardless of dyslexia or background. My message for you today is straightforward. Anyone can learn to code. Intelligence is not defined by dyslexia. Potential is not defined by poverty. So we can open doors and break down barriers with the use of tools like Python. Together, I'm imploring every developer, every data scientist, every software developer, let's develop a new generation of pupils who are proficient in technology. Rather than consumers, we want to build a generation of pupils who are self-assured and innovative to become contributors to the digital world. Let's work together to make coding accessible for all. Thank you.
really appreciate your talk.
Thank you so much.
De quelle façon vous avez applaudi là, vous avez bien compris et que j'aurai des tas de mains en l'air pour genre me faire la traduction en français. Hein? J'espère. Bon, vu que tout le monde semblait avoir bien compris, bien apprécié, ça là, je ne vais pas demander volontaire. Je prends au hasard. Donc, c'est à vous de me dire stop sur là où je vais m'arrêter. Je choisis une personne dans la rangée. C'est bon? D'accord. Et je vais aller vers le monsieur qui sourit beaucoup.
Bon, okay. Thank you for your presentation. Je me nomme ici Foualidou, étudiant en deuxième année de système et réseau informatique à Easy Global Success. Bon, durant toute la présentation, ce que moi j'ai compris, elle a parlé de la dyslexie, que nous devons former des jeunes capables de pouvoir travailler sur, comment dirais-je, bon, en gros, elle a parlé sur Python, l'importance de Python et ce qui va avec, et l'importance de l'éducation des enfants dans le développement web. En gros, c'est ça.
Cette fois-ci, un volontaire. Un volontaire, un second volontaire pour expliquer brièvement ce qu'elle a eu à dire.
Bon, ce que moi j'ai eu à retenir, bon, premièrement, il a parlé de la dyslexie au fait des problèmes que ça cause. Je crois que ça affecte souvent les enfants ou bien les jeunes. Des problèmes, par exemple, de lire, des problèmes de mémoire, d'apprentissage, au fait. Donc, le souci, c'est, ça touche jusqu'à 10 à 20% globalement de personnes et des enfants qui ont souvent des problèmes avec l'éducation académique. Donc, pourquoi Python? Bon, Python, ça facilite l'apprentissage, que ce soit visuellement, de manière sonore, et c'est très interactif. Donc, il a parlé des outils qu'on peut utiliser, les bibliothèques comme Pygame, Turtle et PyTT SX3 pour faciliter l'apprentissage avec Python et permettre aux jeunes, ou plutôt à nos petits frères, tout ça là, d'arriver à s'intégrer au code ou bien de coder tant qu'ils s'intéressent à ça sans toutefois avoir des problèmes ou bien que leur maladie ne leur soit pas un frein. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Je pense que maintenant, vous avez tous cerné ce qu'elle a voulu partager avec nous. Donc maintenant, est-ce que vous avez des questions à lui poser? Ok. You will ask your question in English, if you can.
Okay. Good day. I just want to say that I appreciated your presentation because it's working with what I want to do actually. I'm planning on working with most of the children that are suffering like with dyslexia or other diseases that is occurring around. I'm a student, first year student, information system. And my question is to know about the Python. Are you mostly going to implement it and give it to the kids for them to test, or they're going to learn along and code it on themselves? And since it's dyslexia, how are they going to be able to, um, code it by themselves? Yeah, so that was my question.
Thank you very much. We are going to implement and then we give to the children, because then as they age, it's going to be in stages. As they age, with time, they begin to code themselves. You don't expect a child who is 3 years, who is still struggling, to start coding, because it's suffering from this dyslexia, this neurological condition. So with time, but by the time they get to the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, it gets better, and then they start coding with simple words, and then with time. Because dyslexia is a condition that continues even with people to their university level. Among university students, we still find some of them suffering. And it's a condition that is not, in this part of our world, it is not easily diagnosed most times. We just assume the person is a slow learner. Or in my place, they call them olodo. I don't know what they call them here. They just assume. So these two will be as they age. From 2 to 3, 4, 5, we implement, and they just see, they see the visuals. But as they age, they begin to learn the basics of coding, and then they go with it.
Do you have your answer? Okay, another question?
Good evening. I have a question about Africa. So, we have some solution for dyslexia and other disabilities that kids are suffering of. So, in Africa, do we have a project to implement them in our infrastructure, of it is already done? Do we use those solutions here?
In Africa, there is none yet. Because I have a child I've worked with, and at a point, they had to take the child to the US. So in Africa, I've not come across any yet. But though we are working, my team and I are working on one, but in Africa, we don't.
So there is a project.
Yes, there is a project, and that is why I'm calling on all developers to make it accessible. This is time for us to look into indigenous solutions to Africa. I think they have it in other countries. Yes, I've been to Finland and I've seen them do something like that. But in Africa, I'm yet to see.
Okay. Thanks.
Another question? Ok, nous allons raccompagner donc Madame sous vos acclamations, s'il vous plaît.